today at Target. It's funny, I actually saw a Strider today at Target, and I actually put it back. It was in my hands. I was getting ready to get it, and it's like, nope, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna get the Strider. So today, I know some of you guys just came and watched the Shiro video. Thanks for watching with me. That was really kind of cool. This is actually live. This is not recorded earlier.
We take pride not only in the quality of
got the ads going on here. Let me quickly do a sound check. Hey, my screen's actually black. There we go. This is actually live. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I want to do today is make a blue Hordak like we've seen similar to in Filmation. So I got my hot water ready, got my heat gun ready, got my Dremel tool ready, got some heat shrink, and we are ready to go. So the tools you're going to need for this is a Dremel tool, maybe some scissors, we'll see how that works, and then some heat shrink tubing and a heat gun to shrink the tubing, and let's get going on this. So first of all, the original toy as we saw actually was great. It's like this, but we've also seen in Filmation, hey Spiker, thanks for joining us, that they actually had a blue Hordak, which used to confuse me because then he looked even more like Skeletor than when he was in blue. So I'm going to use this this web store as my base for this. Now a lot of people I've seen them use like Skeletors and stuff. I think that's fine, except for Skeletor's just such a light blue color that I don't think it's dark enough to be Hordak. You know, I just think I'm going to pull out my Battle Armor Skeletor here. I just think it's just too light in color for blue. It might work, but I'm going to go with something darker. Now, what's fun too about this particular figure is because he's such a dark blue figure, he'd work great for making a Leo version of your Skeletor if you want. But if you're going to make a Leo version, don't use the regular Skeletor armor like I did the first time I did it. Let me show you why. Because the purple is just too close to his skin tone. So if you're going to do this and make your Leo, you want to use the armor from this Skeletor in the 2-pack because it's darker and will look way better for making your Leo version. In fact, I might make a Leo version later on in a different video and show you guys. Oh, you want a black Hordak? Well, check this out. Of course, I don't know what happened to his head, but check out my black Hordak that I made. Boom, boom, boom. Of course, he's headless right now. And I made him out of the Buzzsaw Hordak, and so there he is. Ba-doom. My Nightshade Hordak. I'll throw his head on there just temporarily. Burp. There we go. But anyway, we are going to make a blue Hordak today. So let's set aside Skitty Tour and let's rip open this web store. Now, I bought a bunch of extra web stores because I want the armor for the old web store figures and to see how it fits on classics. It'd be kind of cool to have the feature of being able to climb up for the classics figures. So I may either retrofit or just use the armor directly. So I tried this, but the ankle pegs on my horsey didn't match your line. Well, we'll see what happens. This will be kind of fun to see how well it lines up. All right, here's our comic, rocking a hard place. Awesome artwork. There he is. Bum, bum, bum. Now, we did see a release of a blue Hordak in a PowerCon exclusive, and that was cool and such, but way too expensive. All right, there is Buzz-Off's parts. And we'll talk about what to do with the leftover Hordak when we're done, maybe. We might be able to figure out some other stuff to do with him. So, let's finish pulling Webster out. And for those who have not seen this box yet, I have an opening on them in a different video, but just in case you haven't seen the box art, here's the top of the box. Here's the other figures in the line. And, very cool. The new He-Man head. New He-Man. And new Skeletor head. So very cool, and it shows his hook, and then you pull and up he climbs. Now, people have complained about the uppy climbs because it seems like it gets stuck or it breaks. So I heard a lot of people online say, hey, mine broke, my kids broke it, or something else like that. So I'm going to address that first before we get too far into transforming this web store into Skeletor. Or not Skeletor. This web store into Hordak. Alright, so when it comes to the string, people are right, it does break really easily. Be very gentle with it. And when you pull, you want to pull slow. If you pull too fast, you're going to end up breaking it. So you want to be very careful with this figure. I find running it through a few times to get it all loosened up works great. And you can see it's still not quite all the way up. It's a little bit of ways from coming all the way up. But it's pretty close. So there you go. Just be careful with it. I might, when I pull this off, find a way to get some lubricants inside those gears to make that work. But for right now, we're just going to pull this armor off him and set it aside so that my classics can use this cool self-climbing armor. Which should probably be good also to even use it for the old 80s. I should check and see how it fits on an 80s figure. But not today. That will be for a future video. Future. Oh, that is really stuck on there. Let me rip his arms off. We just pull him all apart so we can access. Come on now. Should not be that hard to pull apart. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in water for a second just to heat it up to get it to soften up. I just happen to have my trusty water right here. Oop. I'm dropping arms. Bum, 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 bum. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Yeah, it's a little warm. It says it's 218 degrees, a little hotter than I usually like to run it, but doesn't take much at all. We'll just dip it in there a few seconds. There we go. Look how easy that was to take off. Just a little bit of hot water and bada bing, bada boom. There we go. So I don't want to lose all these parts. So I will set them nicely aside. Right next to my Skeletor Filmation pieces for a future Origins build. All right, so we need to take apart Hordak as well. And there we go. So we got to get the legs off. And you guys have seen it before, so it's nothing new. So let's go ahead and drop the legs in there. Burp. We need these legs off too, so we'll drop those in there as well. Burp. All right, while those are doing that, one of the problems we have is his arm. Now we know he wears a black glove, and so we want to get that glove on this arm here. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. One, you could separate this at the elbow and paint this blue. It's really hard to match that blue though. Another way is you could take some heat shrink tubing, which I happened to just pick some up at the craft store, the hardware store today. And here is the numbers if you guys want to take a look at these. I'm not sure which one's going to work. I have the 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch, and I have the 3/8 or 3/4 to 3/8. I think this is the one I want to use. I think the 1/4 inch should be way too small after it shrinks. It looks like they sealed the top of this because they don't want people stealing them in the store. Now I only got 2, so if something goes wrong, I don't get a lot of chance with this. So again, here's what it is, in case you guys want to order your own. Here is the barcode. Ba-ching. You can see I got it at a place called Home Depot. It's funny, my wife wanted to go to Home Depot today, and I'm like, hey, while you're there, I'm going to look for some heat shrink tubing. Oh, that will work really good. Just for kicks, I'm going to try the other one too, just to see. Because the closer you can get to the right size, the easier it is to do. You know what? I'm not going to put those back in. I'm just going to cut it right down deep into the bag. Let's pull his hand off. And let's just see. You know what? That might work. A little bit of force and effort. So, two ways to do this. One is you can take and cut these off very carefully and do that. Now, if you remember right, the Hordak gloves in the past had this thing on the bottom right here, but not on the top. So I'm thinking about just cutting the top one off and leaving this bottom one on there and running the glove all the way at an angle to that spot right there. So we'll see how that works. So to do this, a couple ways is let's first get his legs out of there and get going on that, and then we'll come back. Got the stupid She-Ra Princess of Power song stuck in my head from the video from the commercials. She-Ra Princess of Power. Anyway. Put the lid back on to keep it hot. And if you didn't know this already, you can actually yank the legs off once you heat them up. Which makes it very easy for changing that out. So the legs are pretty simple. Dun da da! The legs are done. Pretty easy. All right. So back to the arms. So I'm going to take this and sand off this top piece right here. Now you don't have to. You could take your heat shrink tubing and just run it at an angle right like that, and that'd probably work just fine. I just want it to be a little better, so I'm going to run mine or cut this off right here. Now one way I could do it is heat it up, boop, and then get it really hot and take my scissors and cut it, or take an X-Acto knife and cut it. But I'm just going to use my Dremel tool because I'm just going to sand it right off. So let me go ahead and pick out the bit I want to use for this. What bit today? Got this nice rough one here that will slice through it pretty quick. Now, normally I would use something much finer than this, but since it's going to be covered with heat shrink tubing, I'm not that concerned about making it look beautiful because it's going to be all covered up anyway. So, just the top one. Let me turn that so you guys can watch the mayhem. The melee. All right, so that looks pretty good. By the time I cover that up with the heat shrink tubing, it's going to look just really nice. So now let's get a piece of heat shrink tubing. Let's try the small one first and see how that fits on there. Ugh. Nope, not going to quite. Well, you know what? It might work. Look at that. Let's try that first and see. I'm going to cut this at an angle. Shink. Let's see how that works. That works pretty good. I want to get it all the way to the point so that'll look like he has a pointed glove at the end. So close. Maybe I should have used the bigger one. We'll see how this looks once I shrink it on there. All right. And we'll cut it off right about here. And then if we need to, we will cut more off after we shrink her down. Shrink her down, Freddie Brown. All right, time to grab my trusty heat gun. What I want to do is warm it up first and then shove it on a little bit more. There we go. That is perfect. I got it just where I want it. I got you just where I want you. And now we turn on high and really cook that thing on there. All right, check that out. Just flatten that on there. And there we got our black glove. Now we just need a black hand on there. I just happen to have a black hand right here. Look at that. Dun da da. Oops, wrong body. What do you think of that? Is that like a pretty good glove to you? All right, now for the other arm. I'm gonna take his hand off first so I don't accidentally sand it. Look at your guys' comments. Mike says, I love my trusty heat gun. James Justice, hey, Sledge Master, thanks for joining me, man. Should turn out nice and smooth. Rick retracted his message. I might do that with Buzzsaw Hordak. Where does he get those wondrous toys? Thanks, Black Phoenix 77. Yeah, when I saw they made a web store, I just bought a bunch of them because I knew I was going to use them for all kinds of customizing. When I had classics, I made so many things out of web store. It was kind of funny. Web store was like one of my main customizing figures that I use for everything. Blue Hordaks and Skeletors that I wanted to be darker. Suntan Skeletor. For some reason this side's not coming out quite as nicely. It's like the bump is just a little bit differently shaped. We're getting it. That's looking pretty good. All right. The cool thing is I can actually use the same piece I used last time, not even waste a full piece of heat shrink tubing. So let's match the angle. Shink. Let's just slide that right up on there. Get our heat gun out. cut off the front. Heat it up a little bit and slide it more into place. It's like we've done this before. I just want it just to go a little past the tip of that so it doesn't slide off later once it shrinks. And that's looking pretty good. Now I'll turn it on high. Let's shrink this thing. Let's shrink this thing already. Whew, that is hot, hot, hot. All right. Set that aside. Press the front in. Woo. Let's get his hand. Ugh. And his arm piece. Make sure it's right side up. Oops. Sorry, you guys, out of frame. And hot, hot, hot. There we go. Oh, that does look so cool. That is perfection. Let's get his armor on. Put his legs on. Shink. And his head. Ooh. There we go. Blue Hordak. Let's put his crazy weapon in his hand. All right. So, there you go. That is how you make a Blue Hordak from a web store. And the cool thing is, his blue is a lot different than Skeletor's. So now you can really tell them apart so you don't think it's the same guy. Because now we got a dark blue dark blue Hordak and a light blue Skeletor. So, cool, cool, cool. Hordak, I tell you, he needs adult diapers or something. Anyway, let's take a look at you guys' comments. What's the best way to store the hook and string? That is a good question. I used to just wrap it over his shoulder all the time, and kind of like he was holding a thing of string. That looks really nice. I'm impressed with myself. My wife always says I shouldn't groove on my own stuff, but I think that turned out mighty nice. Mighty nice. And remember, I had these hang over the edge so I wouldn't see the blue after the heat shrink was done. So it folded over the edge. You can still see a little bit if you're not careful and moving around, but oops, it's like I put this on wrong. There we go. Now, I'm not a Hordak fan, so this will probably be on eBay either tonight or tomorrow. Custom Blue Hordak. So if you guys want to score him, I have my link to my eBay auctions in the description below, and I'm sure I'm probably sticking them on there tonight or tomorrow. So one of you guys will soon own this Hordak figure. All right. I think that's all that I have. Let me take a look at your guys' questions. Too bad you could not find blue rubber to the gloves for Skeletor. That would be cool. That would be actually. You can find all different kinds of heat shrink tubing colors. I just never thought about putting gloves on Skeletor, but you could easily find. In fact, what I've done in the past when I've wanted different colors, I've actually painted the heat shrink tubing and then stuck it on and shrunk it. And that sometimes works pretty good too. So you could easily do that, and then you could stick these hands on if you wanted to give Skeletor blue hands, because it's almost. Well, I guess it's not quite the same shade, but it's close. All right, so hold on a minute. Hold the fireworks. I do have another web store, so soon I'll be making another video, but this time I'll be doing the Skeletor, the dark blue Skeletor with the armor from the 2-pack of the Rise of Evil, which is a much easier custom to make. It doesn't require heat shrink tubing or sanding or anything else, so way cool. Yeah, I got blue and red, and I got clear. Clear is the coolest. But they usually make the colors different colors for putting on your wires. So you get the red for your red wires and the blue for your blue wires and so on. I miss lurking in these streams. Well, Kristen, thanks for joining us. Thanks, thanks, Mike. I appreciate you saying you really like that Hordak. Todd, you should drill a hole in the forum and add a roboto weapon. That would be kind of cool. But since I'm planning on selling them, I don't want to have anything that's kind of cattywampus, so. Looks like he's got real gloves. Thanks, man. Oh man, getting jelly over here, Hebrew. Mike, I was more an Arnold fan. All right, Hebrew, I hope you're doing your weightlifting and exercise. Yep, I got back to exercising the Sludge Master. Thanks, man. Oh, Web Store. Yep, that kid from that show, the TV series. Web Store. All right. Well, you guys, thanks for joining me tonight. If you haven't seen that She-Ra video yet, go back and watch it. Just fast forward past the Fantastic Fashions. It's really painful to watch. It was painful to make that part too. Unless you want to see all the Fantastic Fashions I got, on that She-Ra video. But anyway, oh, I got my wrestling guy, so I can make my head now for what is his name? The Teenage Skeletor, Skeleteen. So I got the new head for Skeleteen. Way cool. So this will be the head I'll be using. So I'm pretty excited about that. I forget who told me about this figure, but so pretty excited about the finishing up Skeleteen finally. He's been sitting on my shelf waiting to be fixed for a long time. So that will be cool. Yes, no one is witnessing Eternia, but they're all buff. Yeah, they're missing that one hormone that causes it to break down muscle tissue. So that's why they're all super big like that, because they're all missing that one gene that allows them to keep their muscle tone. Also, I'm sure the gravity's got to be higher there too. It has to be. Poor Adam's half Earthling. I'm surprised he has any muscles at all. So you think about that. His mom is Earthling, which is not huge and muscular, and then you have, his dad that. Anyway, like and subscribe, tell your friends, and that's all that I got. Bye now. Let me check the questions. I want to live there. Yeah, I bet you in Eternia, everything's heavy. Pick up a book. Oh, it weighs a ton because of the gravitational pull. All right. Thanks, you guys. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Bye now.